Good morning and welcome to San Gabriel on this Sunday, February 28th, 2021. Thank you for joining us as we take steps to work towards a more just and peaceful world. My name is Karina Whitaker-Lewis and I serve as your Director of Religious Education. I am very grateful for this work, supporting our children, youth, and their families as they engage in a spiritual journey. Many thanks to the Sunday Services team for inviting me into the pulpit today. Please know that whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, whatever your gender identity or immigration status, you are welcome here. San Gabriel is a lay-led member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association in Georgetown, Texas. And rather than meet in person, we have been providing online recorded services, sometimes from our homes, since March of last year, along with a time together via Zoom at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday. We hope you will join us for conversation then. You can find the link to that Zoom meeting in your weekly emailed newsletter, The Messenger. If you don't receive The Messenger yet and would like to, please visit our website where you will find out more about our fellowship and what programs and events we currently offer. Many people contributed to the production of today's recorded service, both on screen and off. Please lean in to watch and listen closely as needed. All of us did our best to bring you a service worthy of your time and attention. Each Sunday, we create sacred space by lighting the chalice, the symbol of our faith. As we are currently apart from one another, I invite you to do the same in your own home, whether that chalice is in your heart or in a nearby flame. I'll give you a moment now to find that chalice and gather yourself into a comfortable position of stillness. All right, some deep breaths. And I welcome members of our youth group to lead us in a prayer called For Now All That Is Our Life, written by Reverend Liz Weber.
Spirit of life, help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys, so that we can truly live, engaging fully in our own life and in our community.
Spirit of community, help us know how linked we are, how each one of our cares touches us all. Help us to ask for support when we are in need and offer our support to others when we are able, so that we may rest in the solace of one another's love.
Spirit of love, and help us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, and that we might fully embody love and resist hatred.
Spirit of resistance, help us to stick up for what is right, even when we are tired or afraid. Help us to dream of the world as it should be and act to bring that world about. Help us find hope each day.
Spirit of hope, help us through this day and each day. Help us to be present for all that is our life.
Thank you, Harry, Kira, and Cassie. We will continue to welcome that spirit through song. Please join me now in singing from our hymnal Spirit of Life by UU Carolyn McDade. The lyrics will be on the screen.
So
Thank you so much. I really needed the comfort of that song right now. While this winter storm may be over, the aftermath is still with so many of us in our community. Spirit of life, of community, of hope, of resistance, of love, be with us now. Over the past week, each conversation I've had with family, friends, and neighbors has begun with a recounting of our stories, comparing timelines of when power was lost and for how long, if a pipe burst, when we could stop boiling water. For some of us, this storm was an uncomfortable disruption, and for others, a devastation of the highest order. State leadership certainly failed us, for while this storm was certainly unprecedented, it was not unpredictable. And even more frightening, the lack of preparation, the lack of concern was simply all too familiar. We have been here so often before, with so many in our community, fending for themselves without adequate support to survive. And given the pandemic, we're already in that position. And yet, when the going gets tough, many of us get helping. We look after one another as best we can. When disaster strikes, we do all that we can to fill the gaps, build the bridges, and literally save people. And I've got a story about that. So let me get the Wonder Box. It's right back here. And I wish I could hear your guesses for what's inside this today. Pretty heavy and making quite a bit of noise. All right, let's use our wondering minds that we help one another learn and grow and see what's in here. Are you ready to make a guess? Tell somebody near you. I'm going to open it up. And what have we got in here? Yes, it's a jar of coins. Do you have something like this in your house? Maybe you're saving away for something special. The story that I'm about to read has a jar just like that in it. It's called
A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I might wash the salt and peppers or fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for onion soup. When I'm done, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day my mama empties all her change from her tips out of her purse to go into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I put money into the jar. Some days she has a lot of tips, some days only a little. Then she looks worried, but each evening, each coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma is with us too. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something, she puts the savings by and they go into the jar. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take all of the money and go and buy a chair. Yes, a chair, a wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair in velvet, all covered in roses. That's because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. My mother and I had gone shopping for shoes. I had new sandals, and she had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke, flames coming out of the roof. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. "Where's Mother? Where's Grandma? She's here, she's here. She's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right, and our cat was safe too. But everything else was spoiled. What was left was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my aunt and uncle. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow, but the rooms were very empty. The first day we moved into it, neighbors brought pizza and ice cream, and they brought other things too. A table from the family across the street, kitchen chairs, a bed, a rug from my grandpa, curtains and pots and pans. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. You are all the kindest people, said Grandma, and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start all over. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big rug chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet. So that is why we have the big jar from the diner, and all the coins started to go in it. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Mama said, well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full. We took all the coins to the bank and exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. We felt like Goldilocks trying out all the chairs in the furniture stores. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. My aunt and uncle came in their truck so we could take it home right away. I tried it out in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but I did get to sit in it while they carried it up to our door. We set the chair right next to the window. Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime, and Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her, and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. The end.
If we were in the sanctuary together right now, I'd ask our San Gabriel kids to share with all of us what we say almost every Sunday in our RE classes when we light our own chalice in our time together. We say we are a church of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. And in our RE time today, that's what we'll be talking about, how we can put those helping hands to work. In the story, the family received support from their extended family and friends and neighbors, their surrounding community. They were in relationship with those people. Maintaining relationship, as we all know, takes work. And as UUs, we center that work in the spiritual practice of creating covenant with one another. Next Sunday, our guest in the pulpit is fellow UU Pat Smith from Houston, and she will speak directly to this practice of covenant. So please do join us for that. And in preparation for that service, Pat reached out to me for any covenants our children might have already made in their classes, and I was able to provide 3, one from our early elementary class, one from the older, and one from our youth group. And so for a change, I thought rather than recite our congregational affirmation today, that we could be led in a class covenant from the older elementary class. And here is Della and her mom with that affirmation or covenant for us. Please read along with them. The words will be displayed.
Our class covenant. We will trust in each other, treat each other with integrity, help each other learn, care for each other, believe in each other, treat each other with love, respect each other.
Thank you so much, Della and Heather. What an amazing and inspiring covenant a group of 7 to 11-year-olds created together that encourages and challenges all of us to be in right relationship with another. Many thanks to their teachers, Mr. Spoon and Meg Haley, for their guidance and loving care. So here we are in a pandemic, and I ask the question, can we be Unitarian Universalist alone? What was I thinking? Here we are, physically isolated from one another, so of course we must be able to. I certainly recognize that we carry our values inside us, but I believe it is in the interaction with others, in relationship, that I get to practice those values. In relationship, they are animated and lived. One of the reasons I chose this work to be a director of religious education was because of my desire to be in relationship with children and youth. Although they will never stop being my children, my daughters are adults now. So when you get to be my age, you are not necessarily in relationship with children anymore. Now, you may have heard me tell this story before. It is an example that sticks with me of how I am made more whole, that I am enriched through a relationship that I have with children, and this one just particularly sticks with me. We were in the sanctuary together, and I had opened up the Wonder Box, and inside were some seeds, and I had asked, what do seeds need to grow? And we got responses from children and perhaps some adults too about light and water and soil. And then Jameson, who was maybe 5 or 6 at the time, said love. And it was just a simple thing, but that little bit of wisdom that he reminded us of, I would not have thought of it. And everyone in the room got to share in that. And we were practicing our first principle in that moment, the inherent dignity and worth of every person, by creating the space so that Jameson could both speak and be heard. And we all benefited together. We were made more whole because of that relationship. And that's what I mean by our values becoming animated and brought forth by relationship. We are nearing the 1-year mark of our physical isolation from one another. In just 2 weeks, it will be 1 full year since we were in the sanctuary together. Now, some of us are closer than ever due to this isolation. We are close to certain family members, and that can bring its own stresses. I don't deny that. But the isolation of us as a congregation from one another for nearly an entire year is difficult to comprehend. Congregational life gave us a simple way to stay in relationship, and we have felt that loss. But again, in so many ways, we have risen to the challenge. We have so much to be proud of, what we have managed to sustain for almost a year now in our community. We adapt, we learn to Zoom, we keep 6 feet apart, and perhaps some of you, like me, keep a basket by your door with some masks and sanitizer in it. Last week, the masks and the sanitizer were joined first by hats and gloves, and then boots, and then finally candles and a flashlight. It was a layering of crises upon crises. As some of you know, I live in Austin, not Georgetown. And one of my most unsettling experiences, my personally unsettling experience of the winter storm, was that I was trapped in my neighborhood and my parents were trapped in theirs. Both of the streets we live on are hilly, and while we still had power and they didn't, I really wanted to go get them. And I just literally could not leave. I experienced separation and division in a way that I hadn't before, even with living in a pandemic for as long as I have. I had both a responsibility and a desire to help them that I simply could not fulfill. It was deeply uncomfortable. This enforced disaster, partly Mother Nature, partly man-made, kept me from fulfilling my relationship with them. And this got me thinking about how other long-standing conditions, even those, and or especially those created by my people, my ancestors, lead me to be isolated from others in my larger community who, despite my sense of responsibility to them and my desire to be in relationship with them, causes me to be isolated from them. These systems. I'm talking about structures of systemic racism, which, much like the pandemic and the storm, keep me isolated and out of relationship, keeping me from living out my values. Alone, I cannot be a UU. For those with marginalized identities, for people of color, this separation is obvious and ever present. But just like we had to work hard to be intentional in maintaining relationship during this pandemic, we also need to bring intention to the community we wish to build. What is crucial in that desire is that I bear a certain responsibility, however, because I am a part of the dominant culture, because I am white. Even though I personally may feel that white supremacy doesn't serve me and keeps me from living out my values and my whole self as I want to, I still benefit from it. In just about every public space, I'm going to have more power than a person of color. Just because I'm white. Learning how to engage in accountable relationship with people of color is my own work, a journey I must undertake. Fortunately, my faith, my Unitarian Universalist values, not only compel me to take the steps on that journey, but also supports me in that journey. One step we can take on this journey towards wholeness is by committing to a series of beloved conversations offered by Meadville Lombard Theological School, one of our UU seminaries. With this program of personal reflection, learning and unlearning, we help heal the impact of racism on our lives in order to get free together. The next series begins soon, and San Gabriel has been extended a special, we've been granted a special extension to the registration deadline, which had been this past Friday. So please contact Pat Berthold immediately if you are interested. Details will be in the announcement slides at the end of the service. And you will be grouped, if you so choose, you will be grouped with others from San Gabriel in a learning pod. And another step and I am speaking to my fellow white people here, another step we can take on this journey towards wholeness is to practice followership. And that's something that you will learn more about in Beloved Conversations. We know that communities of color are oppressed by white supremacy, by systemic racism. When leadership arises from within those communities with solutions, we follow, we collaborate, and we support. So here now is Shaquita Wilson, co-chair of our social justice team, with an invitation into that work.
Good morning and happy Sunday, UUers. I wanted to jump on here and really talk to you guys for a minute about what's been going on and how you can support efforts locally. Karina asked me to have a conversation for Sunday service, and I'm really excited to share some of the things that we've been working on. I'm a little tired, I'm not gonna lie. This has been a full adventure this last 7 to 8 days, and it wouldn't have been possible anywhere but Central Texas to get the support of the people the way we have. So let me talk real quick about some of the things we've been doing. I started a group called Central Texas Together with a few activists to try to help with the response to the winter storm and the needs of the people here locally. Central Texas Together is about helping Central Texans. What we've been seeing is that a lot of the efforts to help and support are going to Austin and Houston and Dallas and San Antonio. And that's wonderful that those people are getting support in that way. But it does leave out these communities, these suburban and rural communities who are not being reached and who have gone through devastating loss and so much trauma. So we've decided to put together this mutual aid fund to help people who are here locally. We thought maybe we would hand out water and have a couple of drop locations to pick up things and make sure people have food, and maybe help with a few electric bills and make sure people's water turned on, help with some plumbing. And what we found is that there was an extreme need locally for basic services and more accessible services. And so we've been going from crisis to crisis to crisis because we're finding out that we are all there is. The county has been at its wits' end. I would normally be here to criticize and say, hey, county, do this, 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 and this. But I really don't have any criticism because I see that we don't have the support. We don't have the staff. We don't have the infrastructure to provide the services that people need right now. And a lot of the things are things that elected officials actually cannot do. The people who could do something are at a higher state level, the governor, the state legislature, just the support from those entities. And we're not going to receive that. So I'm going to ask you guys to please dig deep, look at what you can give, and please give. I'm also going to really ask you guys to try to give as much new or nearly new things as possible. That's food, that's toiletries, that's blankets and bedding and towels. People use their towels to clean up all of the bad water, is what we're going to call it, to be proper, that flooded their homes and threw those things away. And now they would need more. We have a PayPal attached to our organization, Central Texans Together, and you can donate towards this effort. Please think about what you can give. I feel like we have a goal of $20,000. We have raised $15,000 so far. We have spent $9,000 in supplies. We have 4 hubs going on right now. One in Leander/Liberty Hill, one in Round Rock, one in Cedar Park, and one here in Georgetown, which is at our wonderful church. Our church has been one of the hubs to help us do this effort. And so I'd love to continue to have that effort. I'd love to get some volunteers to help organize. And please give Amy a break because I've been running her ragged. I'm so sorry, Amy. I know when you volunteered towards this effort, you did not know you was going to become an organizer. And yet you have stood up and stepped up and been wonderful, gone above and beyond. And she just needs some support. Right now, we have given all of the things that we have collected. We're going to reassess after doing some wellness checks, see what other needs are going to be crisis level needs right now in Georgetown. And then we're going to move from there to continue giving support to people throughout this next week. So if you can support, please do. I love you guys. I miss you. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you so much, Jaquita. The offering will now be gratefully received. Please follow instructions on the screen for how you can support both our congregation and Central Texas Together with donations of goods, of money, and time.
One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us and everyone. We'll take one more step, one more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word, one more prayer. We will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer, one more song. We will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
All right, so let's take time again for another deep breath. How is your body right now? Is there tension in your shoulders or your neck or your face? Try to let those muscles relax for a moment as we move into a time of stillness and silence. This journey that we undertake, step by step, is long. Even if we are together, we need to rest. We need to rest rather than quit. So I invite you now into a moment of rest as we practice the metta or loving kindness meditation, first for ourselves and for others. Please hold in your thoughts first yourself, then a loved one, then someone you may disagree with, and then the entire world. We will then hold silence for as long as we can hear the chime. Please repeat after me. May I be happy, may I be healthy, and may I be filled with love. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be filled with love. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be filled with love. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be filled with love. And may it be so. Please join Roland and his mother Morgan in extinguishing our chalice.
Is that real fire?
As we leave this friendly
Place.
love, give light to every
face.
May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we
Return.
return. Wanna blow it out?
Boom.
Thank you for having me today. I look forward to seeing you in time together where we will share our joys and concerns with one another. And I look forward to animating, to living out our principles of relationship with you, guided by covenant. I hope to see you working together with Jaquita, and I hope you will join our journey towards wholeness by engaging in beloved conversations. Because as Amanda Gorman writes in her poem, "Talking gets us there," I leave you now with her words. It's normal to notice what makes us different, because what makes us different is what makes each of us so special. There's beauty in every type of face and in every type of freckle. From the curl of your hair to the color of your skin, no one is exactly the same, not even twins. But across time and place, people have been treated unfairly just because of their race. So heroes get into good trouble. They have to struggle for a long while, but when they win, it's worth every mile. People of color still experience racism today. So it's up to all of us to say, enough is enough. To speak out with all our hearts, and that starts at home. Starts with asking questions about race when we're taught about it. Together, I know we can tackle racism, but first we have to talk about it. Amen and blessed be.